parallel response in the Shemayim. Our actions trigger a parallel response in the Shemayim, right? So what does that mean? The din on Purim is Halacha and Tov Reish Tzadik Dalet Sif Gimel, right? That we're not medaktek in most Purim. People come, we give whatever. We don't ask them for credentials. Someone just came to the door, asking for a paper. You're collecting for yeshiva. Let's see something about the yeshiva, etc., right? But not on Purim. On Purim, we're not medatek, right? Kol ha'poshet yad noisnim no. Everybody who opens poshet yad, so you give him. You give him. Now, whatever we do, that makes a parallel in the Shemayim, right? So that means that by Kadosh Baruch Hu, it's also kol ha'poshet yad noisnim no. Hashem doesn't check our credentials, right? How much we deserve it. And Hashem does not scrutinize where we're holding, right? So you guys are all tzaddikim. But for me, I know that to have one day of the year where I can ask Hashem for what I really need, and Hashem is not going to scrutinize my behavior, and if I deserve it, right? To me, that means a world. That's very, very special. Now, I want to talk a little bit about about something that Rav Rosenblum in a recent video spoke a great deal about it. Very, very strong message, and that's that Hashem is toveya from us a bris achem, being toveya from us the bris of achem. Why? Where do we see that? We see, for example, that in Meron, right? In Meron, it was two zukot of brothers that were killed, right? In Tuba'ah, right? There was two Yeladim and their mother, right? Their mother were Bluestein were killed, right? We know that Yaakov Yisrael and Menachem, right, from the Pele, the Mishpacha, the two boys also. The two boys were killed. The two young children, right? And I think it was maybe a few years ago, young race, right? Also lost. It was two boys, right? An Avrech in Argentina, right? His mother and 3 or 4 children were killed in a fire, right? And then just recently, the two older ones, Hillel Menachem and Yagen Yaakov, right? This week that were killed. What's happening? There's a Gezeres Achem. It's a Gezeres Achem. And we don't understand. We don't know. We can't fathom Hashem's midas hadin. We can't fathom it. But one thing we can know, one thing we can learn from, Hashem is showing us that Achem, we have to be in touch with our brothers. We have to treat our brothers as brothers, right? We have to improve the way we look at our brothers, right? There's a tviyah here on Achem, on brothers, on family, on right? There's a tviyah here that we have to have more feeling of achdus and ahava towards our brothers. That is definitely for sure. Is definitely for sure. And they write that we know that Tainus Esther tomorrow, Bez Hashem, is very mesugal for tefillas. It's very mesugal for tefillas, and to be makabel, our tefillas be makabel. The schus of Mordechai Esther, right? It's a very special Yom Shor Ratzon, right? And the Chidushei HaRim writes that Purim, Chidushei HaRim is this, That Purim is the siyum of the year, right? It's the siyum of the year, just like Suda Shlishis is the siyum of Shabbos. So Adar is the last month of the year, because the year begins with Pesach. Adar is the last month of the year, and that is the siyum of the year, right? And sorry about that. I should have turned off my phone. As a siyum of the year, we can be masik. We can be masik things which during the whole year we perhaps can't do, and Hashem is much less dictatic with ourselves, right? Because of the siyum of the year. Again, the Reb Shimon Finkelman quotes the Slonimer Rebbe, right? This is a quote from the Sivas Sholom, Slonimer Rebbe, that there is a spiritual light, a special spiritual light on Purim, right? Which you don't have even on Shabbos and Yom Tov. And what is that? Because we find that a decree, right, which is written in the king's name and sealed with the king's signet ring, cannot be revoked, right? That's a din in Esther, right? In the Gil's Esther, that a decree that was written in the king's name and sealed with the signet ring of the king, that can't be revoked. That's permanent, right? And we realize that the decree of Haman Yimach Shemo was actually a divine decree, right? And it seemed that it was irrevocable. It seemed it was irrevocable. And because of the Nesiv Shalom says that Klal Yisrael, through their achdus and the tefillah and the tshuva, right? Because they fasted 3 days, and they had tremendous achdus, and they did tshuva. They became close to each other. They mamish received nisim, a complete Yeshua, right? So he says that's therefore Purim is 1 day a year. The Nesiv Shalom explains it's 1 day a year, right? The Slonimer Rebbe says that when a Jew can change even decrees that were sealed by the king's signet ring. Even in the Shemayim of Chas Shalom, there are decrees, and we know that something's going on over here. We see that the Bris Achem, we see Hashem is telling us something. There's something that innocent children, Achem, we're losing them, and it's unfathomable, right? We see there are some decrees. So there's 1 day of the year where even something which was sealed by the Almighty, right, we can change it. That's Tainus Esther, that's Purim, right? We have the Koach Purim to change those things, right? So this year we have to pour out our hearts. Look what we've lost. Look what has happened. So many children, so many Achim, so many innocent, beautiful children, and younger ones, older ones, so many of them, we've lost them, and we can't understand why. But we can say, Hashem, whatever decree there is, change it for the better. Have Rachmanis on your nation, on your people. Have Rachmanis on us. That's the koyach of Purim. But this Purim, what does it have to be? It has to be a Purim of Achdus. We have to look to try to find those that are weaker and those that need chizuk, and we got to try to embrace them and make them strong and make them feel good. That's the avodah of Purim. I remember one of my very first experiences as a Baal Tshuva was that I saw a Purim, and I saw somebody, one of the Gedolim, one of the very chashuv Rosh Hashivas. He was a little bit in the spirits of Purim, and he went out. He opened the door of a truck. He took out the truck driver. He danced with him. He sang with him. And the truck driver was like he never had such a thing happen to him before. He was so happy, right, that he like that he was a Rosh Hashiva, holding on to his hands and dancing with him, right? That was one of my first impressions. This is what Purim is all about. Purim has to be a very, very special day. We've got to use that day to please to break through the barriers and to ask Hashem, please Hashem, have Rachmanis on your people and end this terrible midas hadin towards brothers and towards children and all the things that we've had suffered. End it and bring our people the geula that we're waiting for. That everything in the last parak of Sota about geula has been discussed already. What Hashem? What are you waiting for? Everything and worse. It gets worse every day. Please Hashem, bring us the geula. Bring us Yoshua, let Purim be such a special day that we break through all the barriers and we return to Hashem, and they can all join us, Mitzvah Hashem, dancing even before that. Join us in Yerushalayim, dancing with Binyan Bayis Shlishi Ben Heru V'Yameinu.
Amen.
Amen.
Okay, fellows, so
we
kept it at this time. We kept it at this time because we didn't have so many wanting it to change. We figured we might as well leave the assignment for now. That's what we're doing. But I want to wish you all a very Freilichen Purim. You have a very, very special Purim. And we should have Yeshuas and Geulas.
You as well. Thank you so much, Mash.
Mash.
Thank you so much, Mash.
Thanks, Rebbe.
Thank you.
Mash, I have a question for you.
Yes. I'm listening.
So I'm confused about the whole story of Purim. We were destined to be destroyed, but it doesn't square with the fact you have Yeshayahu, Yirmiyahu, Yecheskel, Daniel, multiple nevuas through Navi claiming that the Galus will end and we'll be back to Eretz Yisrael. But then you have the story of Purim saying the Jews are going to be destroyed. But what about the prophecies of Yecheskel and Yirmiyahu that clearly say that the Jews will be returned to Eretz Yisrael? So how does that whole concept square with the nevuas that the Jews knew were told to them or were there at the time? I mean, Yecheskel was with them in Bavel, and Daniel and Ezra and Nehemiah, Mordechai. They all knew the prophecies that said that we were going to be returned to Israel, but now the Jews are threatened with extermination. Just seems to be a tough understanding how the Jews would have felt at the time. I don't know. I don't know if anyone's ever commented on it.
It's a good question.
Yeah, I want to tell you something. I want to tell you something that I thought I meant to mention it. Agag, right? Agag gave father. He was the father of Haman, right? From him came Haman in Mapsham. How did that happen? So the Medrash says it's like a mind-boggling that Agag pleaded with Hashem in jail, right? He was waiting for Shmuel Navi to kill him. He wasn't waiting for that, but that was going to happen. And they hadn't killed him, and he was in a cell. And he pleaded with Hashem and said, Hashem, I don't have children. I don't have children. Please, they're going to kill me. I'm going to leave this world and I'm not going to have children. So Hashem, because of his sincere pleading with Hashem, he meant it. He was real. Hashem did away, she came in, whatever, and he had a child. It was a terrible thing, but he had a child. It's very hard for us to know, these nevuos because like the Rambam says, all the nevuos can be explained in many different ways, and we'll only know once Gula happens. Once the Gula happens. And,
I know, but one of the nevuos clearly, I think in Yirmiyah it says, if I remember Yirmiyah, it says the Gullus will be set. I mean, even Achashverosh. I mean, I always found it fascinating.
It could be that they taka knew that somehow there would be some kind of a right now there was a gezerah that the entire Shushan and we're going to be killed, but it could be that like these nevuos say, there would be somehow somewhere another a Yeshua where some Yidden would survive and then from there would come another Klal Yisrael. Right?
Yeah, someone said to me, is like, the only answer he came up with is the reason, if you remember the story of Purim, the party was because the Goyim knew that the Goyim knew about the 70-year Nevuah, and then the Jews were still here. So he says maybe what happened was the Jews became Meyayish. They thought Hashem gave up on them because everyone was counting wrong. Even the Jews, it seemed like he said, it seems like even the Jews might have counted wrong of when the 70 years officially, because Yirmiyahu said, I think Yirmiyahu, right, the goal is to be 70 years, but no one knew exactly from the first wave when Yechezkel was brought, or the last wave when Jews were officially kicked out of Eretz Yisrael 11 years or 12 years later. So, but because the Jews weren't kicked out right away, there was like in stages. Because Yirmiyahu clearly said, if you submit to Bavel, you will live. I'm going through Yechezkel right now. It's just fascinating. He says everyone thinks that the Jews in Israel had it better off because they were staying there, but Hashem is clearly saying that no, the Jews in Bavel are going to have it better. That the Jews that are Israel are not going to make it out because they didn't listen to me. So he said what happened was when the Achashverosh had his party. I mean, this is the only thing he can think of. Achashverosh had his party. The Jews became Meyayish. They gave up hope. They said, "Okay, we're stuck here. It's 70 years and we're still stuck here." And maybe Hashem brought the gezerah on us to kind of say, never give up hope because I don't know. That's what his thought was to try to explain maybe what the story. You're right. It's hard to understand. I don't know. I was saying to someone, I'll share my Purim thought. I said I found it fascinating that the story of Purim came about by the cause of Haman to begin with. Shaul didn't kill Agag. Haman came from him. Haman came to exterminate the Jews, and the people that saved him were descendants of Shaul HaMelech. Come save us. Because you said there's I think Zera Shimshon says there's our, blessed Mordechai and our evil Haman is like, what is it? It's because the Jews in some way kind of blame Mordechai in a sense, because from the tribe of Benjamin, his ancestor didn't kill Agag, and the Jews kind of blamed Mordechai in a sense. You didn't bow. This is you're responsible for this. And so that's why he says, Zeb Shusha kind of gives a tongue in cheek. That's why you have to drink to not know the difference of whether you're going to be angry at Mordechai or in the evil of Haman. It's like,
that's very interesting. That's very interesting. That's very interesting.
I'm not saying it with the same erudition of the Zeb Shushan. I barely understood what he wrote, even in translated in English. But I was there because I was talking to someone about drinking and Purim, and I'm like, is like, there's so many Mefarshim that say, drinking is, that Rizal says drinking is like, if you drink to get drunk and not, if you're not using the alcohol to kind of bring out the Torah, then you shouldn't be drinking at all. And the Rizal says if you drink like that, you're
One
you're
of
just
my Talmidim told me, I asked him how's he going to be on Purim because when he gets drunk, he's very much out of control. So he says, if I drink just to have a good time, then I get out of control. If I drink because it's a mitzvah to drink, then I'm in control of myself. So I let him stay for Purim. Just for that. Okay, fellas.
Chag Sameach.
Chag Sameach, Berachim Purim. Thank you so much again.
And good Purim
Thanks so much, Mash.
Okay, call to Shalom.
Bye.
Thanks, Rebbe.